Hey there, you found Cameras and Car Seats, the podcast for photographers who are tired of being told to hustle harder while trying to remember if you grabbed diapers at your last Target run. I'm Jamie, your destination adventure elopement photographer who somehow manages to adventure with couples while raising tiny humans.
And I'm Alex, holding down the Lincoln logs in the Midwest traditional wedding scene, proving you can crush those weekend weddings and still make it to family dinner. If you're editing in the pickup line, scheduling client calls during nap time, or just trying to figure out how to run a profitable photography business without sacrificing your family life, you're in the right place. We're dropping real, actionable advice that actually works for mom photographers.
No bro marketing, no toxic hustle culture, just two photographer moms keeping it real about making this whole business thing work while raising our families. So grab your watered down iced coffee.
Ignore that pile of laundry for another hour or day.
And let's dive into today's episode. Hey, so I just wanted to welcome you back really fast. Today is a good episode. We're going deep on the deep feelings between feeling embarrassed, feeling not enough, feeling like you're comparing yourself to other photographers, all the feelings that we kind of go through where we're embarrassed by where our business is at or possibly where we think we should be and just not feeling good enough.
We want to preface this. I'm speaking for you too, Jamie. We want to preface this by saying we get it. We have felt it. We feel it. And we are so incredibly thankful for the community of mom photographers that have been messaging us and like sending DMs and being completely vulnerable with us, because we always want you to know that we are judgment-free zone. Our DMs are always open and we totally understand all the feels. So with having said that, I think a great part to dive into right off of the bat is comparison game on social media.
I mean, social media enough, as hard as it is when you are a creative mind and you want to put your art out there. And it comes with the creative world where you just don't feel like I should have done more. I should have done this angle. I should have tried this lighting. I should have layered. Woulda, shoulda, coulda.
What's funny is recently, after having been on vacation and spent less time on my phone and less time on social media and then coming back home, I was like, man, maybe it should just like seasonal depression, going out in the sun and then coming back to a snowstorm. And then I was like, no, you know what it actually was, is I was spending way less time scrolling. I was spending way less time comparing myself. And I was focused more on like just voxering you about like, oh my gosh, somebody joined the mastermind. Oh my gosh, like we're going to record this episode. Oh my gosh, we have an interview with this person. And I was just so focused on
our
the
dreams,
good stuff that was happening in our life instead of being like, hey, we were on this podcast. Oh, but that person was on that podcast. Or, oh, that person shot at that location. Like,
or that person got featured in that magazine.
Exactly.
And why didn't they accept my magazine or not magazine? Why didn't they accept my feature? Why? And then you just start to feel kind of like crap.
Yeah. I've noticed it so much. I am now starting to implement more boundaries. I'm going to start I actually was thinking about this last night. I just haven't done it yet, but setting a timer on my phone as far as like, how long I can be on like Instagram, or how long I can be on, or shutting it off after certain hours. I just feel like it's such a trap that you can fall into. And one of my favorite features lately has been the mute button.
We have talked about that before on podcast too, was the mute button. Cause when you're in that sort of mindset of, well, why not me? Why you have to do the inner work of feeling, okay, that's awesome for them. Clap for them and just keep doing your thing. Your timeline is no one else's timeline. And you don't have to fit into every single box. You don't have to fit into every single group. You just have to be yourself.
Right. And I think this goes even for motherhood and photography in itself. Like having the perfect daily routine. And
we just talked about routines too, but like routines are they're there as guidelines anyway.
Right. It's like this is what I want, but if it doesn't go that way, that's okay.
Yeah.
I think allowing ourselves to have that space of, this is the goal, but if we don't hit that goal today, that's okay.
Comparison will never bring you joy, ever.
No.
The more you focus on someone else, the less you can grow in yourself, like grow your own business, grow your own mind, because you're too busy focusing on what someone else is doing that you're actually hurting yourself. You might not realize it. They might just be like micro comparisons, But I really just, I want to encourage you to just put the phone down, touch grass. Your work is probably beautiful, and you're probably just in a moment of insecurity, and that's okay. That's okay. Like, feel your feels. It's okay.
Create more than you consume.
Yeah.
I love that saying. And I think too, like when you're feeling that way, there are a few things that you can go do about it. For one, like maybe get out of the house. Like maybe you've been at home for too long and you've only had conversations about a child wanting something out of the fridge, and then you hand it to them and then they spit it on the floor. And like, maybe you're not actually having adult interactive conversations. Like, get out of the house, get a coffee, go meet with a friend, go out for dinner, do something. Or if you're feeling that way in your work too, set up your own little model call, like shoot something creative for yourself.
Oh, actually I had a good one. So, recently I saw a photographer, they posted, it was a close friend story, but they posted how I'm feeling discouraged because how do you grow your work? I feel too same. I feel like I'm looking at my galleries and I feel on autopilot. And then I'm comparing and I'm seeing what these photographers are posting for these moments. And it's not even comparing like, oh, this wedding was 100K, this wedding was 10K or something like that. It's just more like how I feel like I'm taking the same shots and I don't even feel creative anymore. I just feel like I'm on autopilot. And then you start like, how are they getting these shots? And I remember I responded to that story, set up your own shoots, try. And at that shoot, you are not allowed to take the same photo. You have to force yourself into different angles, force yourself into different lenses. Your only goal that day is to take the weird shot.
Yes.
Because the more you take the weird shot, the more you're going to pull yourself out of your own head and pull yourself out of that comparison trap because you're trying new things.
I love that. Yeah, I think sometimes we can get so caught up. One thing that completely changed my perspective too, that I heard about like a wedding day, if you're kind of feeling that like, okay, I'm really tired of this whole rinse and repeat, like everything feels the same. Your clients, this is their wedding. They've never been married before. They don't know what your rinse and repeat is. They don't feel that way. Like they're not bored of you.
Unless it's their second one.
Yeah.
I'm kidding.
But like, I went into a wedding day once and I was like, man, I'm just doing the same stuff over and over and over again. Like, aren't they bored? I'm bored. And then I was like, oh, wait a minute.
They've never been
married. Like
Yeah.
they don't know this. And for some reason in my brain, even though that's obvious, it helped me because I was like, oh yeah, like they don't think I'm boring right now because they haven't done this. It's just me. It's me in my head.
Well, and I feel like sometimes we get that way because I know it's happened to you too, where this last time I photographed a bride's wedding, but she had been a bridesmaid in 2 other weddings that I had photographed. And I'm like, is she going to remember that I said this or I did this? She didn't.
Exactly.
Because this was her day. She was in her own moment. But I in my head, I was like, what if she's comparing this to the wedding where she was a bridesmaid?
Right.
And it's just not a thing because in their mind, they're experiencing their wedding as themselves. You're experiencing their wedding as your job, but you don't have to compare to every photo you see on Pinterest, on whatever latest trend, whether it's the blurry trend, the whatever coloring. I think I saw that selective coloring was making a comeback though.
No, thank you.
No, thanks.
No, thank you. Also, nobody is thinking about us as much as we are.
Yeah.
And well, unless you're living rent free in somebody's head, then have at it. But
You live rent free in my head, Alex.
but like nobody is analyzing you as much as you're analyzing yourself. Think about it, because it's almost like if you're at like a yoga class or when you're in PE as a kid, you're like, oh, I don't want anybody to watch me do this. But everybody's thinking that. Everybody's like, oh, I hope nobody's watching me. So if we're all thinking that, like, it'll be okay.
Find comfort in knowing we're all thinking about our own selves more than anything.
Exactly.
That sounds so bad out of context.
It sounds bad, but it's true. And okay, one thing that I want to address that I feel like is so huge is the embarrassment of where you're at in
let's
your
pivot
business.
to embarrassing. Like, not that's embarrassing.
Let's pivot to our embarrassing moments.
So this one time, right, at band camp? No. But like, I feel if you feel embarrassed about a certain part of your business, it means you care. And it's hard to ask for help. I will never discredit that. It is so hard to say, this isn't working. I need to change, but I don't know how.
Yes. I think too, it's if you don't have a community of people, like if you don't have your village, if you don't have that industry friend to bounce ideas off of or to vent to.
Because you're listening to us.
I know. I was like, you always have us. Otherwise, if you don't have that, it's like, okay, who do I talk to? Because it's embarrassing. Like, let's just say somebody's like, well, I don't have automation set up in my business.
Right.
And I don't want to admit that to anybody because I should. So I'm embarrassed that I should have done that. Like, you don't need to feel that way.
Well, I think for a lot of people, they're embarrassed to admit they don't have a CRM and they're still doing things manually. And I don't feel like you have to be embarrassed about that. You don't know what you don't know. And by reaching out to someone that you admire and just seeing how they do things, it's the saying where the person you might see as competition is the person you need to ask questions to, because they're out doing something and they might have a system for you. They might be able to answer your question and show you, oh no, actually you should try this. And then a whole new door gets unlocked. So there's no wrongdoing in being embarrassed. I feel like the wrongdoing is staying there.
Exactly. It's the whole take advice from somebody you would trade places with kind of a thing. It's never feel embarrassed about something like that because we all learn and grow in different ways. There was a point in time where Jamie and I did things manually.
Yes.
There was a time where we didn't charge very much for weddings. Like, we've all been there. So there's no reason to be embarrassed about it, even though it feels that way. I also feel like nobody's really talking about it either. That's one reason we are doing this. Like, nobody's talking about being a mom and a photographer and the struggles. And then they're embarrassed to mention or say like,
I forgot my kid's diaper bag. No.
Or I don't like, do you help your clients with a timeline? Like, I don't know how to do that. I hopped on a call with someone a few months ago and helped them plan out a timeline for a client for their wedding because they were like, I don't know how to do that.
And it's not embarrassing to ask. Like, I feel like newer photographers, especially if you're newer to weddings, newer to sessions, you're scared to ask because you're scared of repercussions. And I feel like the good people out there, plugging myself, no, plugging Alex, but like there are people like us out there that our main goal is to help you. And we get so excited when you ask, because that means it's making the industry better. And that means the next generation of photographers that you care.
Right, exactly.
The only thing that's embarrassing to me right now, honestly, is my portfolio from 2014. We can laugh at that.
Mine is how messy my house is all the time.
Yeah.
That's embarrassing.
No, like that's for sure surface level embarrassment, but not knowing how to do something in your business. I mean, think about it the same way you think about your kids. Your kids don't know how to tie their shoes for the first time. Like, you are learning. Just like your kids are learning something for the first time, you might be learning something for the first time. So the same grace that you give your children when they're learning how to use silverware, when they're learning how to ride a bike, when they're learning to just be a person, you're learning to be a business owner every single day, every single client. You have no reason to be embarrassed at all.
Well, and this kind of ties in with comparison and embarrassment, but everybody also has different goals and different structures in their businesses. So you never have to feel like stuck or in that comparison game when you're looking at somebody else's like bookings. Let's say somebody's like, oh, I'm completely booked out. And you're like, okay, well, they started after me. So that's embarrassing.
Their account grew from 100 to 10,000 in a week.
Yeah. And so I feel like a failure because I didn't grow that fast. And I just feel embarrassed because like I should be doing what they're doing and I'm not. And now I'm comparing myself and it's all blah, blah, but it's
they hired a copywriter. They hired a brand professional. Right. I should have done these things, but you're on a different timeline.
And for one, my question always is, do they have kids?
Yes. That's always my first question.
2 is what they're booking is booked out to them like 10 weddings, where booked out to you is 20 or 30. Like we don't know everybody else's parameters. So for us to get ourselves in a position where we're worked up about comparison or being embarrassed to other people, is really putting ourselves in an unfair position because we don't see everything. We don't know everything. We don't know their behind the scenes. We don't know their life. So
in a way, you're beating yourself up.
Yeah.
And you don't need to.
For no reason.
You don't need to beat yourself up right now. That's what we're trying to say. Because you're on your own timeline. You're on your own path. And things are going to happen at different times for you than they happen for other people. And that's why sometimes I'll see something and I just internally, to fix those feelings when I would have those feelings, I would start clapping in my head like, yeah, you go, you did that. Because I'm trying to rewire my brain back. Like when I would do this all the time comparison, like this was prime 2019. I would try to rewire my brain and be like, that's awesome for them. They are in that season of life. They're winning. That's amazing. I'm going to take notes. I'm going to see what I can apply to mine, and I'm going to keep going.
Exactly. Well, and I know last summer when I wasn't booking and I was struggling, I felt like a failure. Like I was like, okay, I did have a year where I was booked out and having to turn people away back in like 2020, 2021. And then last summer it was like crickets. And I was like, okay, so I went from booking a ton to nothing. And I let that get to me. And it was like, okay, well, I feel like a failure. I am comparing myself to everybody. And it's like, you just sometimes have to allow yourself to sit and like figure out what works for you and shut everything off around you and focus on your goals. Because in those times, it's so much easier when you're feeling like a failure to feed into that. And just like shut everything off and just be like, nope, like this sucks. And look what they're doing. Look what they're doing. Look what they're doing. When instead it's like, nope, shut everyone else off around you, refocus. It's not embarrassing. Businesses go through highs. Businesses go through lows. I don't care how successful you are. You will have a low in business and you will have a high in business, and that's natural and it's nothing to be embarrassed about.
Well, and I feel like that leads us perfectly into our final point that we wanted to talk about today, which was just not feeling good enough. So it's like feeling embarrassed, comparing, but also not feeling good enough, or feeling like you want to give up, or all of those vibes that just honestly sometimes just come hand in hand at the end of your cycle.
This is so true.
And it's, you are enough, period. Mic drop. End of story.
Yeah.
Bye.
Good day.
Good day, sir. But I know that I've gone through this so many times where nobody likes me. Nobody likes my work. It's not good enough. It's not being featured. I'm not paying for this listing. I'm not doing enough. I'm blah, and it's just
girl enough.
It's just a giant toxic bubble that you need to pop. Or a pimple. I like a good pimple pop. Well, yeah. Let's say pimple pop because pimples are toxic.
Find what makes you happy. Going viral with your content is not always the answer. It's not going to bring you joy. Figure out what makes you happy, what your joy is, what your definition of success is, and go with it. Also, on that note, it takes time. It's not an overnight thing where it's like, okay, giant hamster posters make me happy. Right. Or and we're not here hopping in with this advice, like just having started this podcast like 2 months ago, like, okay, cool, we have all the answers. Like Jamie and I have been doing this for years. Jinx.
And it took a long time to find my editing style, my client style, or not client style, but my the clients that I love to serve, the market that I like to be in. Your ideal client, dream client. Quote unquote, whatever you want to call them, market research, how I like to edit, where I like to shoot, where I like to work. It takes time to find your joy. Like this isn't an overnight thing. It's something you have to sit in. It's something you have to work at and just be willing to put in the work. It's that cliche, like don't compare your chapter 5 to somebody else's chapter 20. And I know sometimes it can, so if you're thinking like, yeah, I've heard that before. It's a challenge to just sit in it, sit in the uncomfortable feelings, journal about it. You don't have to take everything to social media. You can talk to your spouse. You can talk to someone completely not in the industry sometimes. Find another hobby too. I think sometimes because for a lot of us, like photography starts as a hobby and then turns into an income.
find other hobbies that you enjoy doing outside of work, because that can bring more joy, I think, than we also realize.
And it can also, like, motherhood and watching your kids do things, you can discover certain joys that you never knew existed.
Mm-hmm.
Like, your kids are going to bring out certain things in you, and then your business is going to bring out certain things in you. And then when you can mesh them all together and realize this is what lights me up, and then because this lights me up, my kids are seeing me happy, and because my kids are seeing me happy, I want to do more of this, and then this has turned into this, and it's all a domino effect.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, there's so many different ways you can find your style, and you can find your joy. But just, I think our big things for this episode is it's okay to feel embarrassed. Just don't stay there. It's okay to compare. Just don't stay there. Because we can't tell you not to do these things, that everybody's going to do them.
Yeah. It's okay to feel like a failure. Don't stay there. But also, everybody feels that. Even if it doesn't look like people are feeling that way, I can guarantee you at some point or another, they have felt that way.
I mean, I think I did last Monday at 10:37.
Yeah, right. I'm like, I think I did like 2 days ago at 7:37 p.m.
And then I got my period the next day. I knew I wasn't a weak one. No, gosh. But yes, I hope this helps you today. And just so you know, we love that you're going to send us a message and ask us questions and send us any sort of DM. We want to talk to you. Make sure you're following us on Cameras and Car Seats, our Instagram. And if you haven't put your name in for the Mom Talk Mastermind, our next round will be starting later this summer.
So excited.
All right. Well, we'll see you guys next week.
Bye.